Welcome students to the series on Introduction to Constitution. This video aims to cover the provisions for protection and improvement of environment. Now, where did the protection and improvement of environment as an provision under directive principles of state policy come from? So, the Constitution of India is not an inert but a living document which evolves and grows with time. The specific provisions on environment protection in the Constitution are a result of this flexible and evolving nature and growth potential of the fundamental law of land. The preamble in our Constitution ensures a socialist pattern of society and dignity of individual. So, pollution of free environment is related to a nation's development goal of securing for its citizens a decent standard of living. Environment is inherently related to human development. Without environment, a man cannot sustain himself. We need resources from the environment. Hence, protection and improvement of the environment becomes a crucial part of human development, of making progress and sustainable progress. Therefore, as India declared under directive or implied under directive principles of state policy that it is a welfare state, provision for protection of environment also becomes part of its ambit. Protection of environment ensures that it can take care of its citizens, it can afford afford its citizens a pollution free environment or an environment that is sustainable, it's not degrading. So all these concepts are together linked for this provision of protection and improvement of environment. Therefore, in Article 48A, it states that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment to safeguard forests and wildlife of the country. This particular directive was added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. It wasn't there in the Constitution originally because it was implied, but the 42nd Constitutional Amendment made it very explicit that it is the duty of the state to ensure that the protection and improvement of environment is done for its citizens. The Constitution has made this a double provision under Article 48.8. So, firstly, it is a directive to the state for protection and improvement of environment. It also imposes like a twofold duty on the state to firstly provide protection, secondly improve the environment. So the first part is to protect the environment, whatever diversity, environmental diversity, biodiversity that we currently have has to be protected. Secondly, we have to improve upon it. We have to ensure that it is much more greener, it is much more healthier for people to live in environments. Without extreme pollution. So these are some of the twofold duties of the state, that first you have to protect, second you have to improve upon it. It also implies the state's duty to protect forest, wildlife, humans from pollution that negatively affects their quality and presence. So it doesn't just matter about the quantity, it's also the quality of life that you're giving people. It shouldn't be that a person is or a citizen of India is living in a very polluted environment and isn't able to take care of himself because of the pollution or the environment degradation that has happened. So protection of environment is very crucial for human development. How so? You have to focus on the aspect of what negative health effects it may have on a person, what sustainable living that a person may have from his surroundings, how is it being impacted. So there are like multiple aspects to protection of environment. Firstly, if we see health aspects of environment, a person living in a very unhealthy environment or polluted environment will have some impact of the environment on his health. Health is impacted, for example, in villages where women have to walk miles and kilometers to get water, to source water from rivers or tanks or lakes. This is a very crucial environmental impact of climate change, of global warming, and it impacts a person's life, it impacts a person's health. women working under harsh conditions to fetch water impacts their living, impacts their sustenance on a daily basis. So it has a health factor. Secondly, it has a social factor in the sense that without environment, one cannot be very much reliant on it. So if you have good environment around you, if you have good biodiversity around you, you can make a living out of it. There are still some areas in India where people still rely on forest, on the fisheries, on rivers nearby for their living, for their livelihood. Once the environment degrades in such areas due to industrial pollution or through global warming, it has an impact on livelihoods as well. So, without livelihood, without health, it impacts a person's standard of living, it impacts person's lifespan for that matter. So, to afford them the care that they require, protection of environment becomes a crucial part of development process. And the really worst effects of environmental pollution are often seen with people who are most vulnerable, who exist on the fringes of society, who are not part of the urban community or who are not part of the mainstream agenda of development. So, India as a state has to take care of its environment and, in fact, even improve upon it. So, this implies the state's duty to protect forest, wildlife, and humans from pollution that negatively affects their quality and presence. So, what are the few legislations that are related to environment? For example, there's the Environment Protection Act of 1986. There is National Green Tribunal. There's the fact that India has international cooperation with international organizations that work towards uh, curbing climate change or sustaining sustainable development. So we are going to talk about these in a little bit of detail. Firstly, the Environmental Protection Act of 1986 authorizes the central government to protect and improve environmental quality, control, and reduce pollution from all sources, and prohibit or restrict the setting or operation of any industrial facility on environmental grounds. This ensures that India has a legal provision for protecting the environment, and no person can pollute environment, or an industry can pollute the environment willy nilly. There has to be some curb, and under Environmental Protection Act of 1986, this has been given. So this act was also enacted after the Bhopal gas tragedy, which took thousands of lives and impacted the environment around Bhopal very, very badly. So, and with this context, it becomes important that India has taken steps to protect its environment. Secondly, there is the establishment of National Green Tribunal, which is a specialized forum for effective and speedy disposal of cases pertaining to environment protection and conservation of forests. So, there are anytime environment or environmental pollution or any source of environmental pollution has been challenged in the court, there's a separate court for it called the National Green Tribunal, which takes care of all environment related cases, gives them a speedy trial, which is also very important factor in the Indian legislation pertaining to environment. That speedy trial be given. You can't have decades and decades of the same case going on without any consideration for the environment that is being impacted. So, National Green Tribunal was established to function as an organ of environmental protection by the state. Thirdly, India is also signatory to various environmental protection agreements that aim to curb deforestation, wildlife poaching, and trafficking. So, India, as part of a global village, India, as part of as the founder of United Nations as well, has sought international cooperation to curb climate change. The recent one being Paris Climate Change Agreement. All these things make sure that India is working with cooperation with other nations that and ensures that its environment remains safe and sound for its citizens. So all these international cooperation is also necessary in a way. Why? Because if say America, due to its consumption patterns or polluting industries, impacts the air pollution, this air pollution can travel across the world. The oceans can get polluted, and it can impact the sea levels around India as well. The sea level can rise, it can submerge the coastal areas of India, it can create really, really extreme weather conditions around India. And that's why you have to work with cooperation. You have to cooperate with other countries as well to protect the Indian environment, to protect Indian forest, coastal life, wildlife. All these things for its protection need international cooperation, and hence India has a very good record of cooperating on environmental front internationally. These are just some of the provision that ensures that the Indian state works towards protecting environment and wildlife and improves upon it. And it has been a very crucial part of the Indian life, of Indian history, to take care of the environment that we are living in. So, this has been a short summary on the directive principle of state policy for protection of environment and wildlife in the Indian Constitution, and I'd like to thank you for your time. Thank you.